NASCAR is attempting to defend its sport and is now actively attempting to keep their drivers under their control, as a newly implemented law may compel Kyle Larson to choose NASCAR over Indy, which is exactly how NASCAR likes it. Why? So, let's explain. But before we do that, I want to give a massive thanks to the ones that have subscribed in the last month. We've grown from a couple hundred subs to 2,500 in a couple of weeks. Thanks for that. Now we want to reach the 3,000 milestone by the end of the month. Will you help us? Subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks a lot. As we all know, Larson is about to run the double, and running the double necessitates balancing the NASCAR and IndyCar schedules for the next 2 weeks, and Larson must choose NASCAR this year. Kyle Larson aims to join the small group of drivers who have completed the Indy 500 Coke 600 double, running both races on the same day this year. Only 4 drivers have accomplished this feat, with Kurt Busch being the most recent in 2014. Balancing the 2 schedules between Indianapolis and Charlotte is equally difficult. That proved to be a major issue for Larson in 2024, when rain delayed the start of the Indy 500, forcing him to miss the Coca-Cola 600. He arrived mid-race, but the same rain shower that delayed Indy also stopped the NASCAR race early, denying him the chance to become the 5th driver to complete the Indy-Charlotte double. While he was awarded a playoff waiver, making him eligible for the Cup title, NASCAR later enacted a new rule that complicated matters. They referred to Larson's scenario as uncharted waters, and the new playoff waiver rules will almost certainly force Larson to select NASCAR over Indy if he needs to make that decision again in 2025. NASCAR has previously granted playoff waivers to drivers who have missed races for a variety of reasons, including suspensions. Drivers must compete in every race to be eligible for the championship without a waiver. NASCAR will now penalize drivers who request playoff waivers for non-medical reasons. Exceptions include the birth of a child, a family emergency, age restrictions, or other situations beyond the driver's control. If Larson misses another Coke 600 start due to Indianapolis, he could be eligible for a waiver in 2025. However, this will now come with a cost. Larson would forfeit all 23 playoff points collected thus far in the 2025 season, the most of any Cup Series player. Drivers carry those valuable extra points with them throughout the championship playoffs, and they are critical to advancing in each round. Furthermore, a driver will be unable to gain any further playoff points for the remainder of the regular season, forcing a driver like Larson to start the 16-driver playoffs from scratch. While this change clearly demonstrates NASCAR's goal to prioritize full-season participation, it isn't the only challenge Larson faces as he navigates the logistics of competing in 2 key races. As a result, he cannot afford to stay in Indianapolis if it overlaps with the beginning of NASCAR's longest race in any way. However, Larson will face more than one potential encounter during the next 2 weeks. This weekend's NASCAR All-Star race starts at 8 p.m. EST on Sunday, which may be a concern if Larson does well in Indy 500 qualifying. If he is fast enough to finish in the top 12 on Saturday, he should be able to hit the track between 4:05 p.m. and 5:05 p.m. EST Sunday. However, if he is good enough to qualify the Aero McLaren Chevrolet for the Fast 6, he will face a difficult decision. The Fast 6 takes place between 6:25 p.m. and 6:55 p.m. EST, giving him little time to return to North Wilkesboro, North Carolina. The All-Star race is an exhibition event, so Larson does not have to worry about missing it damaging his playoff chances, but he has stated unequivocally that NASCAR is his first priority this year, no matter what. There is also the problem that if Larson misses the North Wilkesboro race, the number 5 Hendrick Motorsports team will be unable to compete, as entrance into the All-Star race is determined by each driver's eligibility. Justin Allgaier will practice and qualify the number 5 car, but he is ineligible for the main event. Larson raised concern about a potential conflict between Indy 500 qualifying and the All-Star race after the first day of practice on Tuesday. He emphasized winning Cup should always be a top priority for him and Hendrick Motorsports, regardless of the circumstances. Yeah, I guess we'll run the All-Star race anyhow. Hopefully we run into that predicament because that means our car is fast. And 2, yes, it would be extremely nice to go for the pole at the Indianapolis 500, but at the same time, it's hard to turn down an opportunity to race for $1 million. Like I said, I hope we're in that predicament. Larson has won NASCAR's All-Star race 3 times, earning $1 million incentives in 2019, 2021, and 2023. If he wins again this year, he will become the second 4-time All-Star race winner after Jimmy Johnson. That dedication and clarity of purpose laid the groundwork for one of Larson's busiest and most watched weekends. Kyle Larson will be very busy this week, traveling between North Wilkesboro and Indianapolis. The NASCAR Cup Series points leader will be replaced by Justin Allgaier, who will practice and qualify the vehicle. However, Hendrick Motorsports has omitted one component. Hendrick will not run Justin Allgaier in either of the two heat races that serve as qualifying on Saturday. The number 5 team will act as the DNS for the heats. This means Kyle Larson will begin the All-Star race from the back. Larson received a penalty in 2023 for speeding on pit road, which dropped him to the back of the field, so he charged back through it and won. However, this was on old asphalt. It will be tough to replicate on a recently paved surface. Bob Pockris of Fox Sports covered Hendrick Motorsports' decision. The team made a bold move. Kyle Larson can do it, right? Larson will practice and qualify for the Indianapolis 500 this week. He must strike a balance between being in North Wilkesboro and doing his NASCAR responsibilities. If Kyle Larson qualifies for the Fast Six, and there are any issues with the All-Star race, he plans to attend the NASCAR race rather than stay in Indianapolis for qualifying. So, regardless of what happens in Indianapolis this week, Larson will drive the number 5 car toward the back of the field on Sunday. Despite the unavoidable disadvantage of starting at the back, Larson is focused on the broader picture, not just the Borg Warner Trophy. Kyle Larson wants $1 million for the Indy 500 pole. Few pole positions are more memorable than those at the Indianapolis 500. It carries both prestige and a significant amount of risk. The speeds at which these racers will advance to the top of the field are insane. Even earning the pole in Indianapolis would be a big deal. Kyle Larson knows where he'd rather be, North Wilkesboro. There will be a little more than an hour between Fast Six qualifying and the All-Star race in Wilkesboro on Sunday. That is a tight schedule to deal with. If Larson makes the Fast Six again, it appears like he will finish 6th and advance to the All-Star race. Not a bad notion. "I think that I would miss the Fast Six and go to the All-Star race," Larson explained to Bob Pockris of Fox Sports a couple of weeks ago. "It's important to race in. It's a lot of money on the line. So sure, it'd be great to, have an opportunity to get the pole, but I'd rather race for $1 million and start 6th at Indy. We'll see. I mean, you never really know how it's going to go. Gotta make sure our car's fast enough to even worry about all that anyways." So what are your thoughts on that? Is NASCAR actively working to make it difficult for drivers to quit the sport for a weekend? Is it fair of them? Other racing categories, such as Formula One, are similarly not great fans of their drivers abandoning the sport for a weekend to compete somewhere else or attempt to break a record. And if all falls into place on race day, will Larson forego the Indy 500 in favor of NASCAR racing? Or will he give up his playoff points and hope for another waiver? What are your thoughts? Let me know your opinions in the comments section below.